Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me this Wednesday. Hello, everyone. So, with all the technical difficulties and illness, but we finally are able to go live, and it makes me very happy to be able to do so. Been a busy day, and trying to set up and everything. I'm going to take one moment and sort of center, and then we'll begin. So thank you for joining me at the new time. This will probably be the time going forward for a little while. This is worldwide, so it'll be good for some people, not so good for others. It's basically the best time for me. 7 p.m. is no longer possible, so 4 p.m. works well. And regardless, it's always recorded and on the website for people to listen to on YouTube. So, we've gone into a little bit of a mantra intensive leading up to New Year's. And since then, with some quite profound and advanced teachings, if I say so myself. I guess when we were entering into this winter practice, sort of focus we do during the winter, kind of said I'm thinking of focusing on mantras. I didn't think I would deliver this much. We've really gone into it. And I think it's good. I think the group overall, given the arc of my teachings for the last 3 years, have sort of been growing to this point. And it really goes to the core of what we're trying to do. We're trying to repair. I don't like the word healing. What word did I use? Return to wholeness, to factory settings. And the quickest path is through mantras. Because ultimately, what we have is energetic disconnects, misalignments, energy that flows, that doesn't flow, frequencies that we should be at and we're not. perspectives that we could have, we don't. And all of it comes back down to energy and frequency and flow. Not so much physical, though there's certainly physical elements. It's more a flow of energy that's within us, outside of us, and how we relate to it, and how that energy influences our minds, our thoughts, our emotions, excuse me, which in turn influences our actions. Our body's electricity. When we send out prayers, we send out thoughts, energy. Energy flows in us through our nerves, central channel. Tifferote system I've described is basically the flow of energy. So with mantra, using the names of God repeatedly, we are working energy. Names, sounds have vibrations, and vibrations, meeting vibrations, has a result. Good result, bad result, neutral result. Makes it bigger, makes it sharper, makes it duller, makes it fainter. Right? Like two waves meeting, it has an effect. Depending on what the wave is, how it interacts. Is the wave sharp, round? Is it big? Is it small? Soft? Is it hard? Yes? So when we put out a mantra in our body through our thoughts, which itself is energy, through a soft spoken breath, or louder, or outright saying it out loud, we put out a wave. Sound is a wave of energy that hits our eardrums and creates, I think, an electrical impulse that goes to our brain, and we hear sound. What it is it's a wave of sound energy that comes at us. When we say a mantra, it has a frequency. It has a home. Our home are the names of God, based out of the Torah. They're names of God, attributes of God. They're written in the holy text. So it's grounded in wholeness. 24 karat gold carries great blessings. So they have an energy of wholeness, of healing, wisdom, of knowledge, of whatever it encounters, it manages it perfectly. So if it needed to be sharp when it encountered something, the mantra will encounter it sharply. If it needs to be dull to encounter something, for it to have the right effect to it, it would be dull. It changes shape. It's blessed. Why we use the names of God. It adapts to what's needed. That's why we could say the same name for many different things, or we have a name for something for certain things. And it could be different for different people, and some names work for some not for others. It could be personal, the way it sounds, jives with some people, doesn't jive with others. Or it's not the frequency for the moment. It might be a little too intense or a little too sharp, the name, or needs something a little softer, and it could be personal and felt, or just feeling that something else is suitable. But regardless, the names are very intelligent. We don't have to direct the name. We just say it. Our job when we say mantras, when we pray mantras, is to just say the name. Very easy. We don't need to think about it. For the most part, it's mantras which you could use to think. I haven't spoken too much, but if you're sending healing mantras to someone, if you have a picture of them or you think of them as you're saying it, it sends the energy to them. That's a one where you use your mind, but for the most part, you say it. And the energy goes to your system and it knows what it needs to do. If you're anxious, that energy of anxious is in you. And the mantra will do what it needs to do with that energy. If you're anxious about a situation, what the anxiety is about, that information, work or whatever it is, relationship, is in you. The mantra sees what's causing the anxiety. It's an energy emanating from God because it's His name. So in a way, it's a prayer. There's a connection to the source of what's the cause is. And there's that invitation for the mantra to heal the cause as well. So this requires a little bit of an open thinking, not linear. It's more expansive. That's more than what one thinks, because it has a divine quality of omniscience, of extra level knowing, extra attributes of effect. It transcends what as human beings we're able to do ourselves. It not only helps heal the cause, that what's being affected, but it also helps heal the cause that causes something to happen. Yes? So you leave an open mind. These are things with time you get an experience with, and then you see, oh, this is real. Oh, that happened. Oh, he wasn't out there. Oh, I did get that experience. And you're left in wonder. How is that possible? How did that, wow. First time you think, oh, it's a crinky dink. Second time, When you get to third, fourth, fifth time, you're like, okay, this this is real. And then you have gratitude because you're like, wow, how blessed am I that I have this to assist me in my life. It's to support us on our journey. It's known as the quickest path. Different levels of paths. Some take longer than others. Mantra is the quickest because we're working directly, energy meeting energy. And it's like the antidote. It cures, makes correct, and lines up. And we can build it up in our body through practice. So our bones, our bodies hold a lot of energy, right? We hold trauma. We hold trauma, right? We could hold grief. We could hold anger and anxiety. We all know we could hold a lot of things which we don't want to hold. We could also hold blessing. We can hold sacred frequencies. We could hold in abilities that grow in us, that we don't need to recite a name a couple hundred times before we feel anything, but it becomes once or twice, 3 times. Because we've built it up in us. And as we build up these good healing qualities, these frequencies in us, there's less and less space for these other things we so much don't care about to fester in us. It's positive, that's acting out things we wish to let go. And that's how the healing happens. In a way, we're increasing good frequencies, which in turn push away, push out, heal frequencies that are disturbing. And we're also creating a critical mass in ourselves where we emanate that frequency. We absorb less from our world. We're no longer a sponge soaking in our environment. We begin to emit. We now put out more. But at the very least, we feel like we have a force field around us because our body's emitting enough that energy of prayer, of devotion, the sacred names, that whatever is around us doesn't quite seem to penetrate. We're less susceptible, we're less porous, because we've built up a positive charge, so the negative doesn't kind of able to get in as easily. Or if it does, we've developed skills to handle it. Excuse me, still a little, one moment. Still recovering a little bit from the cold that's going around. So that's a little bit how it works. And the thing about it is that you just do it. You clock in the time. And the space, the speed you do it at, kind of how you feel. Now, we've worked on 2 new ones. Well, we've done them in the past, but I've added a walking component. And I'm sorry that the audio wasn't very good, but I kind of wanted to put out the instruction, and I think it was understandable, clear enough to be understood. I was looking for a mantra that was peaceful. And I went through a whole bunch in my mind, and they all sort of too much oomph. Like Yahweh Ori practically blew out my fuses. It was a bit much for that moment. And then I remembered Yahweh Shalom. And I'm like, oh yeah, we did that one. And I did it, and it just felt like, oh, because I was doing it while walking. And I'm like, and I haven't done a walking mantra practice in, well over a decade. And longer than that. And I was like, wow, this is perfect for this practice. When you do a walking, it's, I did do some walking recently, and I did come up with Yahweh Shahina. That was a pretty good one. But it's something you could just do while walking. You're at peace, you're in a peaceful setting. And we were doing a lot of discussion on settling, relaxing, coming back to center. And I'd been contemplating teachings on that. And I'm kind of glad I haven't been able to get online as much, because it gave me an opportunity the last 2-3 weeks on fine-tuning on what I want to say and contemplating nature of mantra And realizing that HP Shalom in the teachings had gotten to a place where I could actually teach this stuff at a level I always wanted to teach it at. I thought it would take 5 years. We did it in 3. And I think that's really amazing. I think it has a lot to do with a lot of you guys because you have done the practice and I could feel it. And therefore, these possibilities open up to kind of really go there. Because when we do this, we're really talking about our core. How to anchor ourselves in something that's real and go through beneath and through the stuff that agitates or keeps us from enjoying or truly seeing what's in front of us. Kind of go beneath that sort of ground surface of ourselves, the parts of us that are very alive, very vital, very aware, that need daylight. And all it is an ability to calm and to sink down and to live from these deeper layers within us, to get through the old paint and everything else, to, that rock of that inner temple within us, the muck of the stained glass, of all the soot on top of the stained glass, and the bird poop and the dust and the dirt and everything else, to the clean glass beneath, and being able to radiate from that clarity. In a way, it's just sinking deeper in. Not so much a reaching out like people think. It's almost going through something. And I've used this example before. One moment, my nose. I like Star Trek. So people have seen Star Trek. They're going through space, right? And they hit this nebula, right? This wall of gas, right? And they have to go through it. In many episodes, they've encountered this thing. And as they're going through it, the ship is shaking, right? Things are exploding. They're not sure if they're going to get through it, right? It's dense. And then they get to the other side. And it's smooth and calm, and they're in a whole new space. This is a little bit of what we're doing. That gas, the cloud, is sort of where everything we're dealt with, born into, dealing with where we are, the imperfections, places where we need to find wholeness, or don't even realize it. Just thoughts which we think are correct, which are not, limited, but we think they're not limited. We have no knowledge of anything other. Everything that's sort of there. And what we're doing is we're going through by sinking deeper. And it necessarily doesn't have to toss us and turn us and everything. It's just a simple letting go and just allowing our body to sort of, in our consciousness, to sink to deeper levels. Just like the ocean, the waves, the storms, choppy seas, the rain, hurricanes are on the surface. When you go below the ocean, it's very calm. It's very vast, actually very alive, big, and there's peace. And that's with us. one of the most profound practices is to do a practice like Yahwéh Shalom, or as I mentioned, Yahweh Shalom. Two names of God, the same name pronounced differently, very sacred, use them reverently, not to be abused, or a name that you choose to use. Adonai, Hashem, Abba Shalom. It really calls through the peace of God. When we touch in with that peace, it's like we're melting in the sun. We go calmer, our mind goes calmer. When our minds get calmer, it gives the body access to all sorts of energy that the mind had taken up. You start seeing clearer. Your hearing gets better. You feel calmer, feel more restful. Thoughts, new ways of seeing can come up. You feel connected to your environment more. You begin to awaken. You actually become bigger. It becomes more expansive. You're not in a tight box anymore. And it's not by fighting or pushing through or breaking through. It's actually very counterintuitive. It's by relaxing and letting go. I use the stronger names of God because that's what I'm particularly drawn to. And they're strong. I don't have time to waste. And it builds that relationship. You're plugging into a current that's divine. You're establishing a relationship. You're connecting you with the source. We're always connected, but, there's a lot of deeper connections, and there's a lot of repair to the connections. And the flow is, tight in this world. It's hard to find that connection and to build it. And people who have it, they've worked on it. And this is a way of opening that flow. In a way, it's well, use a metaphor from another tradition. It's a nectar. It's a pure, vibrant inner fruit of goodness and in healing, flow of 24-karat gold. And when we bring in that peace of God, the wisdom of God, the knowledge of God, but it's really the peace, the shalom, and we relax into it, it's profoundly healing. It's a little different from Yahweh Ori, the light of God. Powerful. So we would think, oh, that one's more powerful than this one. No, not one's more powerful than the other. They work in different ways. But by doing a lot of Yahweh Shalom, when you do Yahweh Ori, I guarantee you the Yahweh Ori will be much stronger had you not done the Yahweh Shalom before. Because you've worked through a lot. You've connected. You're deeper. You've become more sensitive to energies, more connected to energies. You've tapped into a greater space of being. This world becomes less fluid. I'm touching the ground, less solid. You realize there's a lot more going on than what you think. And you feel more alive. feel more engaged. The world feels less dead. When you take a walk with prayer beads, if you choose to, and you recite the name, you can feel an openness happen. I immediately start slowing down. For a long time, when I say the mantras with my mala is just moving really fast. And with practice, boy, you can move it fast. I do Yahwéh Shalom while walking. Very quickly, my pace slows down. I'm a fast walker. Suddenly, no. And it naturally slows down. I do one name per bead, not something I've done for a long time. And I notice, I don't think about it. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. And I realize the rush, the speed. My day's pretty busy. Just left my body. And suddenly I was at a much slower rate. I'm like, what's going on here? Not to ask the question, to find the answer, because you'll ruin it. But you notice, wow, just saying this name had that effect on me. And you notice, interesting, afterwards you think, would Yahweh Ori had done that? No, it probably would not have. In fact, you might be walking faster. The different names have different effects. And you're like, wow, Shalom's not even my language. I didn't know it meant peace. Right, but what's about the name? I wasn't even thinking of what it meant. And I didn't think that Shalom would make me slow down. And then you start realizing that regardless of our knowledge of what a word means, the syllables and what it does mean, because it's out there, even though you might not know it, has an effect on our body. And we start like, oh, this is much more complicated than I thought. There's a lot here. And as you go, the possibility is you start hearing the birds here in nature. You notice the leaves. You notice a fresh air. You realize you really haven't looked at nature in quite a while. You might have been in it, but you really were not quite in it. You had a bubble around you of speed, of static, that you hadn't really let it in. But yet, by somehow saying this name, that bubble had weakened, and nature, which was around you, suddenly you were resonating, touching in with it, and really seeing it. And what happened? One thinks about it, there's a pressure in us that sort of relaxed. That bubble that kept everything sort of out there collapsed in. And what was out there suddenly came in here. And the name caused this real profound relaxation. This is a possibility that I offer as something some of you may have experienced. And the act of walking was no longer the act of walking. Because had you walked not saying the name, that isn't the normal walk that you normally have. So afterwards you think, what did the name make a difference? If I had been saying apple tree, would that have done the effect? Probably not. Any other name? Walk, saying walk, or no. light bulb, whatever, would that have that effect? So you begin to have an understanding of the power of sacred names and how it's not just words. And you get an appreciation of the blessing they can bring to our lives. Yes? And then if you're bringing a prayer bead, for me, that took it to a whole different level. You could do a normal walk, you can say the name, but when you bring in the prayer bead, there's something about those prayer beads when you're walking, then it becomes a prayer. The whole walk becomes Yahwéh Shalom, Yahwéh Shalom, Yahwéh Shalom, and it just fills your whole body. It's the energy of the prayer that's in the beads and the other prayers that you've done while holding the beads. The beads themselves hold energy, but you're moving them and you're reciting them. And then a whole new level opens up. Have some of you experienced that? And these are things to investigate, especially if you're new. Try walking for a couple minutes. Then try walking, saying a name. And if you have prayer beads, try walking with saying a name while doing a prayer bead and see the differences. And you're like, how could this make a difference? It does. And by taking a practice like this, it can change our entire lives because it helps ground us to a new base within us and anchors us deeper. So our whole lives revolves around something that's purer within us, more capable, smarter, more awake, more resilient in a way, because it's more conscious, less deadened, less reactive, less traumatized. And something like Yahwéh Shalom puts a field of that energy into our bones, into our minds, that we create that energy of calm around us. So when we enter an environment that's more turbulent, aggressive, or busy, it doesn't affect us as much. People meet us, they get immediately calmer because we're not bringing that speed and agitation to that meeting. We're actually bringing serenity and calm to it because we've bathed in those currents. That's the power of mantra. Yes? After a while, I switched to Yahweh Shalom. It had a different effect. Interesting. And I wanted to share something else. And I share this so you have an idea of what you can investigate, what you might find or not find, and how to go about to have an understanding. I'm very intellectual, as you can tell. I like to understand. So my confidence isn't based on recklessness. It's based on study and my experience and being very careful as I progress. You do the practice, and then afterwards you're like, what was that? This was different. That was different. Why? And you gained faith. And I noticed something that I always use prayer beads on the right hand. Always. I've used prayer beads for 20 years now. Always. I switched for the first time in my life when I did Yahweh Shalom. I switched the beads to my left hand. And boy, that was something. I really felt that. And I was very surprised. The left hand never really did anything for me, always the right. Energy comes into the body through the left hand, leaves through the right hand. Additionally, a lot of people use prayer beads through the left hand. I do it for the right hand. I'm very sensitive energetically. Sending it through my right hand puts it through my energy field in my body, and it comes in and it comes back out. And that works really well for me, like really well. I really like that. The left hand always didn't work. It actually made me feel quite unwell. And I was like, and I realized, and I kind of, I guess, want to share with you something I discovered was, because I learned in other traditions, they never felt right coming in some deep way, because I never did them on the left hand. When I did Yahwéh Shalom, I felt I was pulling the name in me by doing it on the left hand. With each bead, as I said the recitation, I was bringing the blessing of God into my body by pulling in with the bead, which is the way it was. I remembered it straight out of the book from, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, is how it was described on the left hand. You're pulling in the blessing. It's never how I did it. But when I did it, I'd never used that name and that combination till I gave you guys the practice. And then I expanded it after I started expanding it. And I pulled it in through the left hand, and I felt I was pulling in the blessing. And I'm like, oh, that's what they meant in that book. And I'm like, ooh, that was not home base. This is home base, because I did it that way. So there is a thing to discover. Right hand, left hand. What's the difference? Use it right hand, use it left hand. Yahweh Shalom feels really good on the right hand. Yahweh Shalom feels really good on the left hand. And I feel I'm pulling in the blessing of God on the left hand. And Yahweh Shalom, sending it through my body and through, it's more spacious, which I like. But that's my felt experience. And since we're not face to face and I'm not able to take questions yet, all I could do is share my experience to give you guys an example of things to inquire about afterwards, things to look into, things to say, oh, there's this, there's that. Oh, I feel it this way, but it feels different this way. Our body is different. The left hand is not the right hand. It does different things, which I'll get more into in the future. And so these are things to sort of understand. I like understanding how things work. But as you're doing the practice, you just do it. And like a tape recorder, you notice, oh, this is happening. Oh, okay. You don't go thinking about it. You're just like, oh, okay. And then if you remember afterwards, great. If you don't, well, eventually you will if it happens several times. Then afterwards, a couple hours later, you go, that's what was going on. What was that about? Huh. And that's when you could use your mind. But when you're doing the practice, you let go. Yahweh Shalom is letting go. Let go, let God. We hold on to the level to where we are. Our anxiety locks us on. The energy that we're at is like a force field. It holds us in place. Yahweh Shalom is like chamomile tea. Just lets you let go of that grip. When you walk, the body is moving. It allows energy to cycle up and through us. And so as we're relaxing and walking, we could find ourselves going slower. That it's no longer about how quickly we get to our destination, or whether we even get there before we just decide to turn around and head back. It's no longer even about getting to the destination. It becomes about the experience of what we're seeing and are walking. And we don't even care whether we make it 100 feet or 2 miles. Interesting, because the walk no longer becomes about that, because we're so in the experience of, this is so beautiful. Oh, the sky. Oh, it smells so clear. Why aren't we noticing these things before? And then when we're doing the beads, then it becomes something else entirely. Then I feel the whole thing becomes a sacred act. It becomes really transcendent. And so these are things to look into. We're going to spend a little time on this. It's all about touching in with our inner heart, our inner Shekhinah, our inner temple, our inner cathedral, to the pure parts within ourselves, pass through the dead skin, the deadened parts, into a pure, beautiful, whole self that's here. It never left us. It's here. It's there. It's just there. It just needs to emerge through. And it doesn't push through. It, in a way, we relax into it. It's a letting go. With a walking meditation, we learn to relax and let go. We hold stuff. It's all our holding. We hold on to it. It's the human condition. I have flashbacks from things when I was 6, 7 years old. I'm like, oh my God, how do I even remember that? But, it was traumatic and my body's got it in there. What do? You relax, you let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And the thing is, with a practice like Yahwéh Shalom, we're actually bringing in peace to fill that space. So at some point, there might be more shalom within us than other things. And at the core of us is shalom. Yeah. At the core of us, there is shalom. And so we go gentle. We explore. We're explorers of ourselves, our inner selves. We're inner explorers. These are the inner yogas. And they're the quickest way. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to fix anything. We really don't need to learn anything. It fixes itself just by putting in the sacred name. A different way of understanding the spiritual path. It's a different way of walking the spiritual path. Of course, we could bring in learning and everything else and working on ourselves and all of that, wonderful. But from this perspective, it's mantra first, mantra in the middle, and mantra last. All about the mantra. The mantra takes care of it all. True mantra is knowledge. True mantra is change of conduct and behavior and ethics. As we heal our energy, naturally we act differently, we think differently. It's a different way of seeing the path. I like layering things. But with mantra, there's nothing to fix and there's nothing to learn. I don't want to go too far. The mantra fixes. The mantra teaches. The mantra brings back to life. It unlocks. There's a reliance on the sacred names that's really, really great. And so I encourage you to do the practice, especially in nature. Don't show off your prayer beads if you have it. People are very odd nowadays. You're going to confuse people. What tradition are you? People are not very open to other religions, so people might think you're Hindu, and then a Muslim person might not be happy with you, or somebody might think you're this when you're that, and they're not happy with whatever they think you are, and don't go there. And this is, something private. So, if you're walking and people come by, just pull it into your hand, wait till they pass, or hide it in your other hand. It's not to be proud, just that level of acceptance that used to exist on this planet really isn't there anymore. And I think it's best to keep your private space. But to do the practice and find our calm, there's a whole series of teachings that I've been contemplating that I'll give over the next couple of weeks, I think. And we'll talk about it, some of this a little more. And then I think that's all I want to say today. I hope it's given an understanding. I explain many different paths, many different ways, and they all are great and they all work. And so there's a lot to choose from. My first teaching that I recorded was on mantra. And that's where I think things really turned on with Yahwéh Shalom. And those were the first things I put on Facebook. I think that was the first Facebook I did, and I taught mantra. And I've been teaching mantra all the way through. And I think there's really something there. And so if people are new, feel free to explore the whole PDF with many different names that are on the archives website, as well as the Wisdom of the Shalom website. And find ones that work for you. I think this coming year, we're going to work more on practice of mantras a lot. There's a lot of strength and wisdom we can get from it. And they transport us. On the syllables and sounds of mantra, we are carried to different ways of being, different ways of seeing, of feeling, experiencing, and of living life that I feel is very much in touch with how we would want to experience life and how we were meant to experience life. It's mantras carry us, support us, and give us life. Mantras of God, I feel, are a great blessing. Sacred names of God are a great blessing. And this is why I teach them, because they have power, and they were told to us by Him for us to say them and to connect with that sacred energy of divinity and bring it into our lives. Allow it to course through our bodies and bring us home and help us have better lives while we're here. Amen. So maybe we do a little practice. I would like to do some walking meditation, but we'll do a little together first. And then I will sign off. And those who have a garden or a place to go outside, or even in your home, just walk in a circle or somewhere up the neighborhood. Just watch showing off those prayer beads. You just got to stay safe out there. And then you invite questions. And, even if you're Jewish, I don't think prayer beads are that common. And unless you want to explain everything, which, well, more power to you. But I mean, it's not usual. Somebody might think you're Buddhist or Hindu, and then that could cause problems if you're in a community that's not about that. So, but do the practice. And we'll do it kind of together around the world. And if you do it in a room, there's a walking practice, which I haven't taught, but you walk really slowly and mindfully. A step could be very, very slow. And you move your foot not too far in front of the other. It's a very slow movement, very mindful. And you're more about the flow. As you make yourself go around the room, it's a way to steady the mind, to slow us down, to make us mindful of the speed, and have us downshift a little bit. And honestly, when we downshift, often a whole other world and a whole other ways of perceiving things come up. And we realize we were lost in our speed. And we think it's easier to live that way and it's more productive. But we lose a lot of details. Sometimes we realize it's not all that productive. And why not slow down? Why so much speed? And it gives us like that cool sip of water. We realize, wow, I only walked for 20, 30 minutes, but I feel rested like I've been a whole afternoon out in nature. How did that happen in 20, 30 minutes? And then you contemplate that and you come to an understanding on why not and how to go about changing things in your lives to bring into effect that realization of how speed affects you. And then you start living a little differently in a more wholesome way. You might find your blood pressure goes down. You might find you're less of a compulsive eater that came from anxiety. Things start shifting because all of this works directly with our energy. So by relaxing and letting go and allowing our minds to open, when we relax, our minds actually open, interestingly enough. the tightness relaxes and things rise. Frequency goes up, interestingly enough, when we do this practice. And then it's sort of a dawn of a new world in a way. So let's do it a little bit together for a couple minutes. And then I'm going to go take a walk, and people who wish to join me can go off or just go around in a circle in a room. There's something about actually walking while doing this practice, more so than the others. So if it's okay with you, we'll start with Yahweh Shalom. For some people, it's not acceptable to say Yahweh Shalom. And that's okay. You could say Hashem Shalom or Adonai Shalom. You know, I use it very reverently in a sacred intent. But for some people, the name's considered too holy to say. And I respect that. But from my perspective, because it is holy, is why I say it. Because to tap into that holiness and that sacredness is a great blessing to help us connect with that, to better ourselves, so we could better live our lives and how we affect others in better ways. It helps us become better women and men and children of God, I believe. And each name has a special blessing. So why don't we start? We'll just say it together, and why don't we all say it out loud? Why not, huh? So, excuse me. Actually, I'm going to grab a little water before I start. One moment. Okay. Oh, I sound much better. All right. Yahweh Shalom. Oh, put the microphone a little closer to my lips. I don't think anybody heard anything. Yahweh Shalom. Oh, hello. Yahweh Shalom. Yahweh Shalom. I think I have the noise gate a little too. I'm gonna have to say it louder than I do, but otherwise I don't think you hear me. Yahweh Shalom. 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 You have to say it softly, and I have the setting of the microphone to block out sounds, and it's not quite. One moment. I want to say this right. Can you? One moment, please. I apologize. Hello? Okay. We're gonna, oh, this is good. Okay. Because tone is important, and the technology works great for noises and yet also defeats if you want to sort of whisper. So I think we have a good setting here as I adjust the dial a little more. Okay, so let's do this. Yahweh Shalom, 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 Yahweh Shalom. And of course, you could say it slower than that as well. Do Yahweh Vahe Shalom? Okay. So I've switched it to the left hand. Yahweh Vahe Shalom. 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 Amen to that. That was very powerful. Um, that was wow. So, my friends, that's the power of mantra. And this is why we use the sacred names of God. It transforms us, brings us closer to Him, purifies us, raises us. Brings us closer to Him and helps us see the magic of being alive in our world and experience it more in a way that He meant for us to experience it. We are an ark, a sacristy. God lives within us. We are the living breath of Shekhinah at our purest. As we grow closer to Him, we are truer to our true selves. We walk in a better way. We live better. And we are ever more worthy to be called His children. May we forever be blessed. Amen. Thank you for joining me today. Look forward to being with you all on Sunday. And the time may change a little bit, 8:09. We'll see. And if people who would like to join me for another 20, 30 minutes, we'll connect as we walk. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening or morning or midday or midnight or whatever you are at your time. Thank you, my friends. Until later. Bye-bye.